Well, for today, auspicious session on the series called To World Peace. Our topic today is Peace is Profitable. And I couldn't have invited a more talented, experienced entity, a fellow God-peering person who's very, very much in tune with our collective synergetic model to bring peace and love to this world, and also make a profit from it as well. There's profit, and money is not a dirty word. It's how you use it and how you abuse it that's dirty. So I hope to today's session to give a glimpse of what our collective is doing, working with this great gentleman, and I'll let him cover a little bit of history of it himself and how we can set a shining example that, yeah, we can make money, but we can make it in a good way for good causes. So again, so today I'm blessed to have my co-host, Andrea Wen, who, as you all know by now, is the creator of One Humanity, One World, which is the awesome global social movement, which she created, which is going to create the profit to do the goodness that she wants to deliver, which is free education to every single children on this earth, no matter how poor you are, no matter how isolated you are. So I want to thank my co-host for joining me again. And obviously, but most of all, I want to thank, the biggest thank is to the audience, the global audience out there, which obviously Facebook, you're watching this live, but it'll also be beamed onto our collective YouTube channel, and also onto Spotify and Anchor podcast. So the entire world will get an opportunity to hear from this great gentleman indeed. And talking about this gentleman, I didn't name him. His name is David Sahadath.
Dave.
His name, and he works with an organization called Riocom Group, which I'm blessed that our collective is partnered with on a lot of fronts. But I said to you, I'm going to start my question by asking Dave to introduce yourself and give the audience a little bit of background flavor of yourself, sir. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you so very much. And it's certainly a pleasure to be here with your audience and to be able to share, a bit of my background and also address this whole topic of peace, is profitable. Just a bit about me. I consider myself to be what is called a serial entrepreneur. Started my entrepreneurial days quite early in my college days, where I was originally born in Barbados in the Caribbean, of a father who was of Indo descent, Asian Indo descent. As a matter of fact, my father was Indian, and my mom, of African descent. And I was actually born in Barbados and left and immigrated with them because my father had a call to come and pastor a church here in the United States. So I had the opportunity to, I had no choice, not the opportunity to come to this great country to live. And what happened is that quite often, missing my friends and stuff, and while I was in college, I wanted to make trips home for the summer. Well, the only way that I was able to afford that, I came up with the whole idea of purchasing goods wholesale, taking them back and selling them. That paid for my ticket and also helped me pay my college tuition. So that was my first entrepreneurial endeavor. Started by, went to Long Island University, was studying discipline of accounting, and worked for a short while after in that area, but recognized that that was not for me. But it certainly gave me a lot of skill sets in the area of business and finance, and really understanding how financial systems, work. Coming out of that, at my first venture, I got involved in real estate. I started a real estate and a travel company, and that company went on for almost 20 years. It was called Sunbeam Realty, Sunbeam Travel and Tours. It became a fast-going retail real estate company, and also the travel agency that we started along with the wholesale ended up with 3 branches across Brooklyn, and it turned out to be one of the largest, if not the largest, Caribbean-owned travel agency back then. Well, as life would have it, always restless. While doing real estate, I stumbled upon this whole, or I got fascinated in the whole idea of payments and global payments. And long before it was a buzzword about actually cross-border transactions. I wanted to, some 15, 16 years ago, I then conceptualized something which at that time I was calling the One Caribbean, the One Africa card, with that same view in mind, to be able to provide, cross-border remittances and stuff like that. Well, that journey took me on to be interested in fintech. I went on and established two other companies, which are the main focus and main thrust of what we do right now, and what we are collaborating to do with Raycom. But I started a company I called GIFTS, ironically, GIFTS, and GIFTS stands for Global Integrated FinTech Solutions. And the whole mantra behind GIFTS is to be able to provide technology to what they refer to as the underserved regions of the world. My operating philosophy was that no one should be left out. No region of the world should be left out as far as technology was concerned, just based on a price point. And we believe that by including more people, it would actually still become profitable. Everything doesn't have to come with $1 million price tag. So everything that we do has always been on an OpEx mode. And so it's that you pay based on, the size of your organization, what it is that you can afford. So we cover a myriad of things on there. We are an entire ecosystem of fintech with GIFTS. As I said, what I see is, GIFTS is our gift to the underserved regions of the world from a technology perspective. And while doing that, I then created a platform called I Pay Anywhere Global, which of course, Dr. Ying, I shared with you. And that entire thing is, my mantra is electronic payment solutions for everyone, whether you want to pay in crypto, whether you want to go the traditional route, but also it is about economic inclusion. And that's where, you and myself are very much aligned, because it is not just for the rich, as Andrew is doing, it is for everyone. And as part of economic inclusion, it was about creating a platform that we can share with the world, one that was agnostic, regardless of how you wanted to pay and sell that, whether it was you had the luxury of being able to afford the traditional card rails, or whether by way of being able to accept cash in terms of a prepaid application, a prepaid wallet. It is all embedded in there. So started that platform, and as I said, with the Raycom Group and yourself, I'm seeking to take that globally. All right, because I believe that there is great potential for it, and also it is a great help in terms of mankind and what we do. As Andrea's mantra is, it's one world. And that pretty much lines up in terms of what you are doing, is that we do it all for good, all for God. And this is certainly where we are trending with this platform. Lots of things that we plan to do together, you and I, and the Raycom Group, and some of these things will include us taking these types of technologies to the world, especially payments.
Well, thank you for that beautiful and very comprehensive overview of the brilliant things that you and I and our organization are going to go together, like I said, to bring and distribute wealth to the entire world. Okay, so anyway, I'll let Andrea, since you already overlap and discuss about her One Humanity, One World mission. Andrea, I'll let you fire a question to David.
Yes, since you have definitely started talking about your education and how important that was, so you have been able to do all the amazing things you have been doing and you're still doing in your life. 40% of the world population has no access to education at all. At all. We're talking about 40% of humanity is illiterate. And you were talking about how important was your education for you to be able to jump and do the great things you do. And I love that you have just now mentioned inclusion. How important is inclusion to you? I would love if you could tell us a little more about how important is inclusion on business matters, because at the very end, we're talking about the common good. So could you maybe go a little bit deep on that? Thank you.
Sure. Well. Inclusion is very, very important, as you know, especially with some of the underserved regions of the world. People tend to neglect areas that are quote unquote impoverished. What has happened though is that the places that we consider to be impoverished are actually the richer parts of the world. In resources, they just don't know it. But poverty, as I always say, is a mindset. But what we set out to do, and we are doing, is that because technology is an equalizer. And once a person has access to social media, to the internet, there is so much that can be accomplished. Technology has brought down borders. All right. So it's a borderless world, as you said, is one world. And what we're seeking, to do right now is to avail micro entrepreneurs, whatever part of the world they are, the ability to actually be able to conduct commerce. Again, that this was prohibitive. So in your space where you are educating folks and educating the world, which is, I applaud. From where we sit now, it marries with that together, because it is about making entrepreneurs, it's about doing business, and it's about lowering the bar of being able to conduct commerce globally, cross-border, domestically. That is actually the aim. So it all ties in. That's the way that we are doing it. We're trying to lower the bar and make it easy for the very smallest of micro entrepreneurs to be able to conduct commerce.
Excellent. Well, like I said to you, that's the area that I definitely feel gravitated to, as we all do. We have that common goal. Maybe I'm going a little bit off tangent, but I'm not, because obviously this is the crux of what the series is. So I know you are obviously a very devout Christian. You believe in the God, and it plays an important role in your life, and it does me as a. And so, how does your faith dictate how you're doing? I mean, I think most people sort of aware of why you're doing this great cause or whatever. But do you think it requires this faith to be able to do it? I don't want to say, well, you've got to be that somehow atheists are not able to. I don't want to imply that. But I'm just saying, personally, individually side, how does your faith dictate when you wake up, your direction regarding how you want to improve humanity's life down the path that you go?
Thanks, Dr. King. Well, first of all, as I would say, I was born into Christianity by virtue of my father being a Christian pastor. However, as I have grown, as I've evolved, and like you, my basic belief is that there's but one God. Whatever we choose to call that God, there is but one God. And if there is that God, the one thing that we have to do is have faith. You, thank God, have been able to prove his existence through mathematics. But before that, your faith is the thing that takes you along that journey. As I said, for me, I've evolved that I tell people, I don't care what you want to call it, right? You want to call it God, you want to call it, Buddha, whatever it is you want to call it, Krishna, all right? It all points back to that one Godhead. However, the ability to know that God is real, that God exists, and that we are able to have faith. And then one of the tenets, Doc, is that of all these faiths, whether it is Judaism, Christianity, you're Muslim, in all of the sacred books, it requires but one thing, and that is love. Love is a theme that goes throughout all of these things. It's about love. So therefore, in terms of what it is that we are trying to do, Dr. King, I cannot do good for my brother if I don't love him. You see, love causes so many things to change. Love is transformative. So you're doing what you're doing because of love of God. You're doing what you're doing because of love of humanity. Andrew's doing the same thing. I'm doing that bit in my corner. But you see, even if we go back and we just quote from the scripture in terms of the Bible, right? He said, the Nazarene Jesus said, "A new commandment that I leave you is that you love one another." And basically, if we have love in the world, love is the fact is that it changes things. If I love you, Dr., I don't want to see that I am able to eat well and I'm able to enjoy certain things in life and you are not. If I love you, then I'm not going to go out and start culture wars. If I love you, I'm not going to decide to be nice on you based on the color of your skin or the ethnicity. You see, in terms of if we truly understand that whole aspect of love, love will change the world. And without love, we're not going to have world peace. Because what happens of it, if we look at it, if we look at everything that happens, what causes wars, whether it is civil wars, world wars, or cultural, if humanity really adopted and were leaders adopted and understood the posture of love, then, my friend, none of these evil things that we see happening in the world would happen. It's based on love. And that's what we need to do in order to accomplish world peace, in order for us to do these things. Yeah. And I'll just segue into one thing that we have to understand, because, just because we love and we love God doesn't mean that we don't understand the economic viability or the reality of economics. So yes, in love and in loving the world and doing great things, yes, we also make money, because guess what? Money is a neutral force. I don't subscribe to all those people that says, money is the root of all evil. It is not. That's a fallacy. It is when you love and worship money that you're willing to hurt someone in order to get it, right? That is evil. But love, but as it stands right now, money is a neutral force. Therefore, it's either you, Dr. Yang, and Andrea, and our team from Rearcom, myself. If we are the ones that have it and we're in control of it, we can do better for humanity. We can do good for humanity. If the bad guys have it, what are the bad guys going to do? If the bad guys have it, yes.
Exactly. That's what this topic's all about. So beautiful answer to that. So Andrea, pass it over to you.
No, absolutely, Dave. You are spot on, absolutely. It's because people have this poverty mindset. What you were saying before, poverty is a mindset. When people want to do business out of a poverty mindset, they just want money for their greediness. But peace is also a mindset. And people like you who has a peaceful mindset wants money as to use it as a tool in order to help the people we love. And we're always mentioning in our talks that if all humanity begins to be seen as one family, no matter of the race, we're all humans, okay? At the very end, we're all the same. If we were all one family, you would love to take care of your family,
correct,
regardless of anything. No mother, no father wants to see his children starving. And money can put food on the table, money can bring education, money can provide hospitals. So as you just said, money is not evil. It's a neutral force that we can use as a tool if we have that peaceful mindset, instead of that poverty mindset of greediness and just making money out of money. So you have absolutely spot on, Dave. And it's so important, all the great things we could do if we have this powerful mindset, that we have this action through love. So how do you think that the world vision could change when regards to business? Like, how could we really implement this new vision on the actual world?
Well, first of all, as you said, it begins with what you are doing. It begins with education, right? So we first have to, educate. And when I say education too, I think that you would necessarily agree that is not the traditional way that perhaps we've been taught. It is not just about those, traditional things, but actually truly teach and educate the way of the world. And this is where it begins, by being able to expose more people by way of education to opportunities, to the way things are done. Because let's face it, right? Business, commerce is a language all of its own. And we need to be able to educate, especially in what they would refer to as the lesser developed countries or the underserved countries. We need to develop those resources, because they're, in terms that would be the greater, as you said, only 40% of the world is actually literate. Think about it. If we are able to transform that 60% to this new way of thinking, then we become the new majority. And that creates influence, and influence creates change.
Absolutely.
And change is the only constant in life.
Absolutely. And that is what we intend to do collectively, because, change it for the good. That's our thing. Now, we'll be talking here, but David and Andrea are aware we're going to be doing the walk tomorrow. So I'm blessed that we're not just going to talk about it. Tomorrow we have a power meeting with David and our Riocon partner, our collective tomorrow to talk about strategically how we're going to implement these major changes using technology, using education, which David had so eloquently discussed about, and obviously Andrea also emphasized. So continue to watch this gentleman. Like I said, he's a serial entrepreneur. That's why, like I said to you, our collective is so blessed to have this talented, genius guy to help us make plenty of money, but use that plenty of money for good causes. Like I said, money is not the evil, it's how you use it. So it's our intention to use that money for good. So I am blessed, and I could not have asked for a more brilliant gentleman, a more wiser gentleman, a more talented gentleman, and a more God-fearing gentleman to be on today's interview on this subject matter, how to turn peace into profitability. Okay, so follow this gentleman and follow what we will be doing collectively together to put the action of what we spoke about today. So this has been fantastic, but we overshot, but it's brilliantly to overshot. So again, I want to thank most generously to David for his time, his enlightening business professional comment to stimulate people's basically vision to move forward and upwards in this world together. Okay, together. We can only do this, like Andrew said, as one humanity, one will. So again,
One will.
Thank you to my co-host, Andrea Wen. So God bless you all. And let's take this talking into walkable action. All right. Take care again.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very
Dr.
much.
Thank you.